Service agents carry a weapon called a .357 Sig Sauer. The agents on the roof shot the two gunmen with .726 caliber rifles that are referred to as JAR, which, believe it or not, stands for just another rifle. They're made specifically and exclusively for the Secret Service. I wanted to mention something.
Leo?
This is our 5th press briefing since midnight. And obviously there's one story that's going to be dominating the news around the world for the next few days, and it would be easy to think that President Bartlet, Joshua Lyman, and Stephanie Abbott were the only people who were victims of a gun crime last night. They weren't. Mark Davis and Sheila Evans of Philadelphia were killed by a gun last night. He was a biology teacher and she was a nursing student. Tina Bishop and Belinda Larkin were killed with a gun last night. They were 12. There were 36 homicides last night, 480 sexual assaults, 3,411 robberies, 3,685 aggravated assaults, all at gunpoint. And if anyone thinks those crimes could have been prevented if the victims themselves had been carrying guns, I'd only remind you that the President of the United States was shot last night while surrounded by the best-trained armed guards in the history of the world. Back to the briefing.
She's good. Yes, she is. Leah, I'm going to the hospital. Why don't you ride with me?
Yeah.
Governor Bartlett, when you were a member of Congress, you voted against the New England Dairy Farming Compact. That vote hurt me, sir. I'm a businessman, and that vote hurt me to the tune of maybe 10 cents a gallon. And I voted for you 3 times for congressman. I voted for you twice for governor. And I'm here, sir, and I'd like to ask you for an explanation.
Yeah. I screwed you on that one.
I'm sorry?
I screwed you. You got hosed.
Sir,
And not just you, a lot of my constituents. I put the hammer to farms in Concord, Salem, Laconia, Pelham, Hampton, Hudson. You guys got rogered, but good. Today, for the first time in history, the largest group of Americans living in poverty are children. 1 in 5 children live in the most abject, dangerous, hopeless, back-breaking, gut-wrenching poverty any of us could imagine. 1 in 5, and they're children. If fidelity to freedom and democracy is the code of our civic religion, then surely the code of our humanity is faithful service to that unwritten commandment that says we shall give our children better than we ourselves receive. Let me put it this way. I voted against the bill because I didn't want to make it harder for people to buy milk. I stopped some money from flowing into your pocket. If that angers you, if you resent me, I completely respect that. But if you expect anything different from the President of the United States, you should vote for someone else. Thanks very much, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the chicken. Shortfall, securing peace in a time of global conflict, sustaining hope in this winter of anxiety and fear. More than any time in recent history, America's destiny is not of our own choosing. We did not seek, nor did we provoke an assault on our freedoms and our way of life. We did not expect, nor did we invite, a confrontation with evil. Yet the true measure of a people's strength is how they rise to master that moment when it does arrive. 44 people were killed a couple of hours ago at Kennesaw State University. 3 swimmers from the men's team were killed and 2 others are in critical condition when, after having heard the explosion from their practice facility, they ran into the fire to help get people out. Ran into the fire. The streets of heaven are too crowded with angels tonight. There are students and our teachers and our parents and our friends. The streets of heaven are too crowded with angels. But every time we think we've measured our capacity to meet a challenge, we look up and we're reminded that that capacity may well be limitless. This is a time for American heroes. We will do what is hard. We will achieve what is great. This is a time for American heroes, and we reach for the stars. God bless their memory. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
CJ?
There was a fire at the King Fahd Middle School in Medina. 17 girls died in the fire when they were prevented from coming out onto the street, and rescue workers were prevented from saving them.
What was preventing them?
The mutoir. The girls weren't dressed properly. Don't comment. I haven't spoken to the president, to Leo, to state, to anybody. You guys want to muzzle me before I go in there? Speak now or forever hold your peace. God knows it's not likely I'm gonna.
Let's get a good spot.
Good morning. I have some scheduled details on the summit. Air Force One will depart Andrews at 7 p.m. Friday, arriving in Helsinki 4 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 11 a.m. Saturday local. Presidents Bartlet and Shigorin will have their first meeting at 3 o'clock at Mentnyemi. That's a change. Photo op, stills only at the beginning of the meeting.
CJ, what does the president see as the goals of the summit?
Well, first, to meet the new Russian president, but they share the aspiration of building a secure and undivided Europe.
CJ, so you're aware of the fire that happened at King Fahd Middle School?
Yeah, that's a tragedy. Chris?
Saudi news is reporting that rescuers were prevented from getting to several female students by the religious police.
Yeah, I read that too. Steve?
Does the White House have a comment?
I literally just got this a minute and a half ago. I haven't spoken to the president or chief of staff, state, or anyone in communications. This is just me.
Well, do you have a comment?
I don't know.
Look, I'm sorry, CJ, but you're not outraged by this?
Outraged? I'm barely surprised. This is a country where women are allowed to drive a car. They're not allowed to be in the company of any man other than a close relative. They're required to adhere to a dress code that would make a Mary Noel Nunn look like Malibu Barbie. They beheaded 121 people last year for robbery, rape, and drug trafficking. They have no free press, no elected government, no political parties, and the royal family allows the religious police to travel in groups of 6 carrying nightsticks, and they freely and publicly beat women. But Brutus is an honorable man. 17 schoolgirls were forced to burn alive because they weren't wearing the proper clothing. Am I outraged? No, Steve. No, Chris. No, Mark. That is Saudi Arabia, our partners in peace. Bonnie, then Scott.
Forgive me, Dr. Jacobs. Are you an MD?
A PhD.
A PhD?
Yes, sir.
In psychology?
No, sir.
Theology?
No.
Social work?
I have a PhD in English literature.
I'm asking because on your show, people call in for advice, and you go by the name Dr. Jacobs on your show, and I didn't know if maybe your listeners were confused by that and assumed you had advanced training in psychology, theology, or healthcare.
I don't believe they are confused, no, sir.
Good. I like your show. I like how you call homosexuality an abomination.
I don't say homosexuality is an abomination, Mr. President. The Bible does.
Yes, it does. Leviticus.
18:22.
Chapter and verse. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions while I had you here. I'm interested in selling my youngest daughter into slavery, as sanctioned in Exodus 21:7. She's a Georgetown sophomore, speaks fluent Italian, always cleared the table when it was her turn. What would a good price for her be? While thinking about that, can I ask another? My chief of staff, Leo McGarry, insists on working on the Sabbath. Exodus 35:2 clearly says he should be put to death. Am I morally obligated to kill him myself, or is it okay to call the police? Here's one that's really important, because we've got a lot of sports fans in this town. Touching the skin of a dead pig makes one unclean, Leviticus 11:7. If they promise to wear gloves, can the Washington Redskins still play football? Can Notre Dame? Can West Point? Does the whole town really have to be together to stone my brother John for planting different crops side by side? Can I burn my mother in a small family gathering for wearing garments made from 2 different threads? Think about those questions, would you? One last thing. While you may be mistaking this for your monthly meeting of the ignorant tight-ass club, in this building when the president stands, nobody sits. Toby.
Yes, Mr. President.
That's how I beat him.